Fallout has always been known for its great atmosphere and gritty takes on the post-nuclear apocalypse. From harsh starts to rude awakenings, Fallout has you experiencing every emotion. With the setting being a rundown post-nuclear America crawling with mutated beasts, it's pretty simple to see how horror could make its way in there. Even with the main theme being action role-playing, it's pretty easy for Fallout to reach a little further than that. Even though horror could be seen throughout the entire franchise, I'm going to be mainly focusing on Fallout 3 here. It's the Fallout I have the most experiences and feel most comfortable talking about with these certain instances of horrors in this specific game. So I'm going to try to find some specific instances in Fallout 3 showing off different types of horror. This, in reality, is my favorite type of horror in video games, and the Fallout games oozes eerie horror. Eerie horror to me is sort of like background horror, if that makes any sense. Basically, nothing could be in your face or popping out at you, but you sort of have an uneasy feeling. And as you can see right off the bat, this entire game could keep you in this sort of state of unease. Sure, there are many times where you feel comfortable or might not be anything directly putting you in harm's way, but one quick turn into a wrong house, alley, or vault, everything can go downhill fast. The first instance that I really felt this was really the time that Amato wakes you up. The sense of safety and peace is immediately ripped away when you find out your dad has left the vault to head into the wasteland. Before you can even process, the entire security force is not only attacking giant radioactive bugs, but also you. This crushes any type of security and trust you could have had all the way up to this moment. This sense is even more recognized in the DC metro stations. Cramped walkways, normally to be met with some not so friendly, ghoulish friends, the entire station just gives off this uncomfortable feeling. As you travel through these metros alone, it builds tension as you run into groups of raiders and ghouls almost non-stop. Now I know jump scares really aren't the thing anymore, but this game happens to jump scares really well. Some enemies' jump scares are kind of hard to work with, as the mini-map at the bottom shows you where enemies are. So, with enemies not being able to achieve the jump scare factor, how does Fallout achieve this? The first example for myself, and a very specific location based off this, is the Gold Ribbons Grocers. Upon entering the building, you actually trigger a Rube Goldberg machine. At first, the machine's actually a lot of fun to watch, and towards the end, without almost any warning, explosions start to go off, and let me tell you, without expecting this, especially when your defenses are down, it really got to me. The next few instances are just kind of traps placed around the Capital Wasteland that you just happen to run into. Whether it be a shotgun trap, landmine, or a grenade rogue trap, each one of these instances normally don't have a warning and could just be happening anywhere in the wasteland. There's one specific shotgun trap that I couldn't find that I remember playing through when I was a little bit younger that was kind of just in the middle of nowhere. That's probably why I couldn't find it again, but geez, it really got me because there was no one around, nothing to protect. There was just a shotgun trap through an empty house that had no loot through it. Really scratching my head on why it was put there, but hey, it got me good. Survival aspects in a post-apocalyptic game? Yeah, this one was kind of a given, but that doesn't mean Fallout doesn't do it well. Well, at least it does at the start. Yeah, so obviously Fallout is also an RPG. So after you level up enough, the worries of ammo and certain melee weapons start to become extremely overpowered towards the end of the game. But in the first few hours of the game, the constant fear of cycling through the next weapon just to hope it has enough ammo to get you through that situation, or if a melee weapon has enough dexterity to give clean hits. It really doesn't last throughout the entire game, but with the moments that is there, it shines. I feel like the best situations to shine in are in the early game scenarios, like for instance in the Super Duper Mart, while towards the end you end up fighting some raiders with a flamethrower and you feel super underprepared. The whole Super Duper Mart is kind of laid out in front of you upon entry. You aren't seen, so it gives you a chance to sneak around and grab a few items before engaging in combat with the raiders. For a lot of people, this is their first engagement with the wasteland. Either going there for the quest or just somehow stumbling upon it while exploring the wasteland, and a lot of this can also be said for the Springvale School. A newcomer, fresh out of the vault, might take a wrong turn and end out in the school run by raiders instead of Megaton. But, like I said, in the later parts of the game, you're pretty easily running through super mutants, so this aspect is much more apparent in the start of the game. The last type of horror that I want to talk about is the psychological horror of Fallout 3, and everyone should know which specific situation I'm going to bring up. First and foremost, there's the Dunwich building, and it's a great example of psychological horror. From the start of entering the Dunwich building, something just kind of feels off. As you run through the building, ghostly images and random events start to happen. As you start to learn the story that unfolded at Dunwich, more strange things start to happen. This event just feels so out there compared to previous situations you've been in. Nothing leading up to these moments really puts you in the place to expect something so outlandish to start happening. Another one is sort of the drug-induced trip that you go on in Point Lookout. This one has a bit more warning signs, but still, going into the DLC blind, this whole quest left me very confused while it was happening, not 100% sure of what was actually happening in front of my own eyes. I was very confused, but that's sort of, I guess, what it was going for, obviously. So these aren't the only aspects of horror in Fallout 3, and this is a very personal list. That being said, let me know if you felt some type of horror while playing Fallout 3 or what locations popped out to you. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you're interested in this kind of content, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.